this the other night and we ran out of time. Artie Miroff put a tweet out here, and I'll zoom in on the tweet and then we'll go back to the list. The NFL has updated its list of player attendees for the NFL draft in Green Bay. Quarterback Jackson Dart and defensive end or edge defender Mykel Williams are out, so they are no longer attending the draft. Cornerback Maxwell Harrison is in. So that would kind of make you think maybe there's enough draft buzz around Kentucky cornerback Maxwell Harrison to suggest, okay, he's going to be a first-round pick. Now, does that mean Jackson Dart isn't going to be a first-round pick? No, it doesn't. Same thing with Mykel Williams. I would be very surprised if Mykel Williams was not a first-round pick in this year's draft, to be honest with you. And when I look at Mykel Williams, just to kind of see where he's at on our board, I want to say we had him a little higher. Yeah, we got him in the 20 spot. The Packers had a top 30 visit with him. They met with him earlier in the offseason as well, I think at the Combine maybe, and he meets the athletic threshold. So it doesn't mean Mykel won't be taken in the first round. It might mean, hey, maybe he was unable to attend, let the NFL know, and that's why they changed plans, right? That could have been it as well. So let's look at the actual list here. This is the entire list of players who are going to be at the draft. So quarterback Cam Ward, no shock there. I think he's going to be the number one pick. We'll do a little mock draft. We're going to do a couple mock drafts tonight, and I'm going to show you guys a new tool that I found that's really cool. It's called the Draft IQ Cheat Sheet, and it's really neat how they put it together over at NFL.com. But anyway, Cam Ward, I think he'll go number one. Jalen Milroe is interesting because some people were saying, hey, he may go to the Steelers at 21, I think is where they pick. Other people were saying, no, he's a slam dunk second-round pick. And just because these guys are at the draft doesn't mean they were invited only because they're going to be first-round picks or they're thought to be first-round picks. We've seen it in the past. Players will slide to the second and third round and still attend the draft, even the ones that don't fall dramatically like Aaron Rodgers did. So Jalen Milroe is very interesting to me. You guys know I've got him as the third best quarterback, and I think I'm the only person on the face of the earth that has him as the third best quarterback. Running back Ashton Gianti goes without saying. Wide receiver cornerback Travis Hunter, another one that's going to be a top 5 pick in my opinion. Wide receiver Matthew Golden, had the fastest 40, I believe, if I remember correctly, fastest 40 at the Combine. So I think he'll be a first-round pick, just about guaranteed. Ted McMillan, same thing. I think he'll be a first-round pick. Will Campbell, offensive lineman, whether he plays tackle or guard. I know there's a big – people are arguing like hell on that the entire draft season. I think he'll definitely be a first-round pick. Josh Simmons, I think, will be a first-round pick if the knee checks out. You get those top 30 visits in and out, and you got to make sure that knee checks out if you're going to use a first-round pick on him for sure. Tyler Booker, interior offensive lineman. That's an interesting one. I don't know if he'll be a first-round pick or not. I want to say we're a little lower on him. We've got Tyler Booker in the 38 spot. We've actually got Matthew Golden in the 37 spot as well. But again, with Matthew Golden, that 40 time is really going to project him higher than maybe some teams thought, before he ran that Combine 40. Tyler Booker out of Alabama being an interior offensive line. I wouldn't be surprised if he makes it to the second round. However, Daniel Jeremiah on his initial release of his big board, or top 50, I should say, he was 14th on his list. Dane Brugler had him at 18, and Kyle Krabs had him at 27. So maybe he is a slam dunk for a first-round pick. For me, I'm a little bearish on that, I guess you could say. Defensive end, Abdul Carter, slam dunk, top 5 pick in my opinion. He definitely ain't going to make it out of the top 10. Defensive end, edge defender, Shamar Stewart. Shamar Stewart will be a first-round pick. There's no doubt in my mind. He's just got too many traits, too many tools. And I know he's a raw pass rusher, but I definitely think he'll be a first-round pick. Defensive tackle Mason Graham will be a first-round pick. That's a no-brainer. Linebacker Jahad Campbell. I think he will be a first-round pick, but with the shoulder injury, you don't know. He may slide to the second. Cornerback Will Johnson will be a first-round pick. Now, whether he goes in the top 10 or not testing or not running the 40 at his individual workout the other day for Michigan, that's, he'll definitely be a first-round pick. The question is, will he be a top 10 pick? And then you got cornerback Maxwell Harrison we just talked about, and safety Malachi Starks. Malachi Starks, we've got him listed as a top safety in the draft. He's 23 on our big board. I think there's a really good chance he is a first-round pick. Nick Emenwore crushed the Combine, right? Greg Cosell loves Nick Emenwore. I got the vibe that Nick Emenwore, safety out of South Carolina, was Greg Cosell's favorite safety in the draft. So there's a chance he goes in the first round. And then, of course, you got Xavier Watts out of Notre Dame in the 36th spot. Didn't test as well, obviously. Greg Cosell really likes him, though, just talks about he's always around the ball, that type of thing. So those are the guys that, again, not those latter two safeties, Xavier Watson, Nick Emmanwori, they're not invited to the draft, but obviously Malachi Starks is. And being in the 23 spot, I think it's pretty safe to say he's probably going to be taken in the first round as well. So since we're on the subject here, why don't we go ahead and pull up our big board? I want to show you guys and gals what we've been working on here. And Emilio stayed up really, really late last night putting together the horizontal board. So here you've got the vertical board, right? We've talked about this. We pulled information from this the entire time throughout the draft process. And you guys know, anybody who's in our Patreon group, you can scan the QR code in the upper right to join our Patreon group, or just go to patreon.com/Packer Fan Total Access. And you'll have access to this draft board. So we got the legend over here to the right showing you what all the emojis and the colors mean. We've pretty much got all the bases covered. We got it narrowed down to a handful of prospects that really line up with what the Packers like. Shamar Stewart in the 15 spot, Walter Nolan in the 19 spot, TJ Sanders in the 39 spot, Trey Amos in the 46 spot. You got Jordan Burch in the 62nd spot. Then you got to go down a little ways here. You got Anthony Belton. He was a top 30 visit and a Senior Bowl participant. He's in the 115 spot. Ty Felton, I was really impressed with Ty Felton's write-up when we dove into the scouting report on him. He's in the 120 spot as well. Like I said, a handful of guys that are on the Packers short list there. Now, you remember Emeka Egbuka, we've been kind of talking about. He's more or less like the favorite wide receiver to go to the Packers, seeing that Ted McMillan will probably not be there. Now, the Packers met with several wide receivers there that are going in the first round or projected to go in the first round. The reason Emeka Egbuka is not lit up in the gold or the spade is because he wasn't a Senior Bowl participant. And listen, there's nothing he can do about that. Everything else, though, he checks the boxes. Captain Patch met with the Packers early in the process. He also had a top 30 visit. He meets the athletic threshold. You've seen the famous picture of Goody standing right there on top of him doing the vertical as Emeka Egbuka was doing the vertical at the Ohio State Pro Day. It seems like he is on Goody's short list of wide receivers. So appreciate the kind words there, Coach. I'm trying to glance throughout the chat as I'm talking here. But, the board's come together really, really well, man. It was really cool to show Emilio how I build the board. And then I just expected him to kind of be able to help out here and there and maybe throw in, oh, yeah, we can do this because he's real familiar with spreadsheets. Man, he's crushed it. What an asset he's become in draft season. But, yeah, the board has come together really, really nicely here. Now, I'm going to show you a couple other features on the board. And like I said, you guys have access to this in the Patreon group. We can go now. Like if we just go top 30 visits, we've shown you guys this a couple of times. There's all your top 30 visits. The target emoji represents the top 30 visits, right? So you got a list there now of 25 people. Easton Butler thinks there's going to be 2 or 3 that'll probably become public before the draft gets here. I hope he's right. I think last year we got the 28, and then we learned about the other 2 after the draft. So hopefully we'll get as much information on there as we possibly can. So there is your top 30 visits, right? You can also sort in here. You can go just the cheese, which includes the top 30 visits as well. That's all the players that the Packers have shown interest in. 155 prospects out of 562 that are on our board. 155 the Packers showed genuine interest in meeting at some point in the process, right? So that's another cool feature here on the board. Now, the one that I want to highlight, though, if you group it by tier, you hear us talk about tiers. This is how GMs work the boards, okay? And it may be a little bit difficult for you guys to see it here on the stream. Hopefully not. Let me go full screen for you just a second. So you'll notice if you can see my cursor, hopefully you can, all right? So you've got tier -5. That's tier 1, okay? That means anyone who has a -5 to a whatever it is, a negative 0.1, I think is what it would come down to, okay? So that's that top tier, low number wins. And then in tier 0, is basically 0 to 4.9, okay? And when we get to the horizontal board, we did it in increments of 10, and we'll talk about that here in a second. So you've got in the top tier, Ashton Gianti and Abdul Carter, right? And then you go one tier down, you got Travis Hunter, Mason Graham. The next tier down, you got a pretty good cluster here. You got Ted McMillan, Will Campbell, Cam Ward, Armand Membu, and Ty Warren. Okay. Then you go to the next tier, and there's only 3 in that tier: Will Johnson, Colson Loveland, and James Pierce Jr. Go down to the next one. You got a pretty good cluster right here: Kelvin Banks, Kenneth Grant, Shamar Stewart, Jahdae Barron, Shedeur Sanders, Mike Green, and Walter Nolan. So that's just kind of give you an idea of how the tiers work on our board, right? Now, let me show you the horizontal board. And Emilio stayed up real late last night doing this. You guys, I'm pretty sure you'll have access to this when he posts a new link once we get everything kind of buttoned up here. But this is what's really cool. It's going to be hard to see, and I'm going to zoom in on portions of it, okay? And you'll notice on our live draft stream, by the way, make sure you're subbed to the channel. We will be in Green Bay, Wisconsin, hanging out at the draft, and then as soon as the draft starts, we will be doing a live stream back at the rental house that we've got, and just continuing the tradition of doing our live draft party type thing. So make sure you're subbed to the channel so you can get on that action. And also be a member of at least the $3 tier on the Patreon group as well, because we're going to be doing some giveaways